二场开始呢，我们是接续呢有这一次参展的艺术家啊，来各自介绍他们的作品哈。那第一场呢是这个什么Nicola Gamman 啊，然后郑波啊，还有 Joy Greenford 啊三个艺术家呢来到现场哈。那我们就是就是说请各位呢就是介绍大概15到20分钟的时间，希望不要超过太久，因为呢比较好的会是大家讨论的时候哈。好，那就按照这个顺序呢，我就请这个Nicola 先开始做他的 presentation。OK， 那请 Nicola。
Swan. Okay, thanks. Hi. Just before I start, I just wanted to thank Mally Wu and Francesco Menacorta for inviting me to participate in this exhibition, and also to thank the fantastic team and all their hard work in bringing the show together. I'm just going to briefly and try and talk fast because I know we're trying to make up time about the work that I'm showing here today. So this project, Termite Economies, is similar to previous projects in that it draws on an anecdote or a real-world situation, but rather than deploying a real-time cyclical system or a closed loop, in which this case may have presented a situation of live termites producing forms in vitrines in the space of the museum. Rather, the project explores its subject matter through a speculative fiction. The possible scenario of live termite is absent, and this absence makes room for its allegorical or metaphorical narrative as a driving vector for the project. Termite Economies Phase 1, exhibited here, contributes to the well-trodden narrative of earth-social insects as metaphor for human and social political structures, a way to reflect or to project a critique of human behaviour. And in this case, by grafting of human, natural and the technological. I'm cognizant of the danger of this anthropomorphizing symptom, but as I will touch on today, there is some method to this madness as has been explored in the fields from biology to robotics. The continent of Australia where I live has a long history with termites. The Mastrotermes darwinensis, named after Darwin himself, perhaps the first and oldest species of termite to evolve from the cockroach. They have long been studied in Australia for their ferocious appetite for consuming houses by undermining their wooden foundations. Ironically, termites would also trouble Darwin due to their cooperative behaviour and inclusive fitness rather than competing for survival. In the early stage of my research, I discovered a couple of images from archival video footage that would provide a starting point for the project. The first specimen, shown here, a black and white photograph taken in 1923, sourced from the Australian Museum archives. The image, titled Soaring a Termite's Nest, is a photograph that was taken by entomologist Anthony Musgrave, then based at the museum, and depicts two men, one of which is shown vertically hand-sawing through a termite mound, while another man is showing poised behind a large tripod-mounted camera, filming the actions of his colleague. The image documents the objectification of the termite mound. Saw, termite mound, camera and human enact in a set of relations that highlight the constructed rifts between humans and nature. Out of the frame is a second camera capturing the scene detailed here and compounding the distance between the human inquirer and its subject. This objective distancing would be something I would push in and pull out of in the framing of the work that I would produce as Phase 1 for Termite Economies. This separation from nature also that I observe here in the photograph is something that could be related to the rift that Jonathan Bellamy Foster identified in Marx's lesser-known Reflections on Ecology. Foster discusses the concept of Stoffwechsel or metabolism, for which Marx terms to define the labour process. In Marx's words, a process between humans and nature, a process by which humans and their own actions mediate, regulate and control the metabolism between themselves and nature. Yet an imperishable rift had emerged in this metabolism, and as a result of the capitalist relations of production and the antagonistic separation from town and country. And this, I argue, could also be the case for mining and resource extraction that I will come to in a minute. With this image and Marxist notions of the rift, the sculpture gesture of the cut would be used by me in the production of the sculptures to emphasise this condition. The catalyst for this project, the anecdote, in the early 2000s, in what seemed a far-fetched idea, Dr. Aaron Stewart from the Entomology Unit of Australia's Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, the CSIRO, began to investigate the use of termites to locate rare earth minerals such as gold and copper and other earth minerals. You can see in this image zinc inside a termite's gut. For me, this anecdote presented an interesting analogy for the potential from the allegorical framework of how these termites, as miners, as world builders, might be employed or exploited to narrate the story that underpins human social and economic structures. One way of looking at termites is that they employ sophisticated social hierarchies with termite queens, soldiers, and worker castes, each bound to the production line and ecosystem. Another is that they are a superorganism with swarm intelligence that emerge without a master plan. Within this project, termites become the central protagonist for decoding human behaviours concerning consumption and production and the role of labour, how capitalism puts nature to work. The termite mound itself becomes a central motive for the hierarchical and accretive formalisation of neoliberal class structures, wealth and material accumulation and the division of labour, or how termites might be structured through the rise of algorithms and automated system, and the growing and increasing situation where mining has become automated and unmanned machines dig and remove and sort the earth's matter on our behalves. I want to close that to show a new, let's see if this works. Okay. Is that on? Okay. The second piece of found material that is central to the project is a YouTube clip titled Sliced Through a Macrotermes Mound, which was part of Rupert Saw's field research to understand how termites build their sophisticated architecture. Like the black and white image, this footage also presents the cut and the camera in relation to the termite mound. The clip depicts the termite mound in Namibia being subject to a process called endocasting, which involves pouring hard-setting liquid, in this case plaster, and molten materials such as aluminium, which are also used, into the termites' inner chambers and ventilation shafts to fill the negative spaces. This process assumes the language of traditional process of sculptural foundry work, but rather than removing the exterior dirt to expose but rather in this case, the exterior dirt to expose the now solid form that has been cast into the negative space of the tunnels, as is the normal procedure of endocasting. A large gantry with a sanding disc and a digital camera was mounted over the mound. 2mm slices were shaved off the mound and the individual still image captured of each slice of the nest as the gantry descended from the apex to the base of the mound. Material from the mound was sliced and analysed until ultimately the mound was completely erased. The final result is thousands of digital images resembling a CAT scan, a computed tomology scan of the brain. Through sequencing of stop frame animation, the documentation alludes to a muscular organism in the process of transformation. It displays an organic logic that becomes increasingly abstract as the slices near the base of the mound and the termite chambers diverge from the unified central form, an abstraction of dirt and plaster. While termite mounds accreted of dirt and termite saliva are not composed of muscle or brain tissue, it could be argued they are alive and highly receptive and conscious of their environments. The mounds are constructed with complex ventilation tunnels enabling airflow, which regulates the inside temperature to support the multitudes of termite labourers and chain of command required to build a termite mound. In this context, the footage might be viewed as an insight into the collective brain, a superorganism, and material evidence of the earth-social structures of termites and their swarming and emerging behaviours, and contours of their sophisticated chemical communications. Okay. With that in mind and thinking about this anecdote of termites being trained to look for gold, I came across this three-dimensional drawing of an existing gold mine in Kalgoorlie in Western Australia and thought that could serve as an interesting model for the training of termites in this mine. Here's a truck entering into the underground mine. So I inverted that or flipped it upside down as if it was the actual insides of a termite mound and began setting about three-dimensionally redrawing that to have it three-dimensionally printed as a series of training sculptures for termites. So what you see in the installation is a series of models that act as hypothetical training situations for termites, or the way of looking at termites and modifying their behaviour in relation to extraction and consumption. And also another model that was taken by another group of scientists that were looking at the way that termites were actually eating into materials. And I was also interested in the process of stigmergy, which is a mechanism for indirect coordination through the environment between agents and actions. And the principle is that the trace left in the environment by the action stimulates the performance of the next action, or by the same or different agent. And there's a group of scientists working at Harvard universities that actually spent a lot of time looking at termites in petri dishes to figure out how this process of stigmergy might be used to build software for autonomous construction. And so the process of termites building is that they consume or chew on their environment, on their dirt environment, and mix that with their saliva to build these bricks, which are often kind of referred to as cement pheromones. And so that this model is kind of like a way of kind of materializing that, and you know, sort of thinking about the way that these particular forms might become architectures or ways of inhabiting. And this footage shows real termite mounds in Western Australia, and I commissioned a drone pilot to fly around these termite mounds as if he was tracing those existing forms that I showed you here, as if it was actually looking for gold, or if it was an actual termite swarming and looking for its family. Yeah. So I think, given the time, I might leave it at that. Thank you.
好的，那么我们就请第二位哈，郑波，来做他的这个介绍。
今天时间有限呢，其实主要讲一下这次在台北双年展的作品的一个背景。因为这次的作品在这一层的F 的展厅，然后作品是拍的人跟台湾的男生跟蕨类做爱的一个影片，叫《蕨恋》。那其实对于蕨这个大的背景，想补充一些图片。因为我自己是北京人，然后我住在香港。16年的时候来台北做驻村的时候， 其实首先是在台北市立美术馆看到了一个展叫台湾制造，制造台湾，是讲的日治时期的绘画。然后当时我就看到这一组是香园古董的一组绘画，叫立岛明华剑。然后其实当时那个展里边出现了很多很多的植物，但是我当时仔细看了整个展呢，我就会发现说，日本人来到台湾之后呢，首先都是被热带花卉吸引。我想作为人的话，可能我们的审美至少在现在这个时期还处于这种状态，就是我们看到花的时候，会很自然的就会被花吸引。所以日本的艺术家当时就画了很多台湾的热带花卉。然后这里是立岛名画鉴里边的其中3张。当时呢，我就把它又重新画了一遍，因为我觉得我是一个从北京来的，也是有点像当时日本艺术家来台湾的感觉，就把这个又再临摹了一下。因为比如说像中间的这个植物猪胶，现在已经很普遍了，在路边上到处都有，所以大家已经不太会留意到这个植物。但是当初日本人刚到台湾的时候，我相信是一个很耀眼的一个植物。然后后来呢，有偶尔的看到一本书，这本书叫《台湾野生食用植物图谱》。我是在台北的一个书店看到一个中文版，这个中文版呢做的用北京话说很小清新，就很是当下的一个感觉。但是我看里边的前言呢，就提到帝国战争的荣耀，然后我就想这个书到底在讲什么？后来我把这个书就抄了一遍。这个书呢是原版在台大的Special Collection 有，是1945年3月出版的日语的原版，然后是台湾农业会支持，然后叫台湾植物同好会的一个民众团体编的一本书，然后里边就选了100种台湾可以食用的野生植物。1945年3月之所以会出这本书，大家很容易理解，就是因为到了2战的末期，日本已经意识到自己有可能会战败，然后在想，如果要去台湾山里边活下来的话，要怎么办？这个里面就提到粮食战争跟帝国战争的问题。然后这本书呢很有意思，就是因为台湾制造那个展里边日治时期的绘画都在画花卉，可是这本书的前边的7种植物都是蕨类。第一种是笔筒树，这大家都很熟悉，但是可能大家不太会知道，笔筒树的幼叶是可以吃的。然后这就是大家平时说的过猫，然后这是山苏，就是鸟巢蕨。前面一共100种，然后前面7种都是蕨类。然后我就意识到说，其实可能他们在这个危急的时刻，突然意识到台湾其实最普遍的，最可以食用的是蕨类。是第2个。第3个呢，是我去中研院有一个展讲台湾的社会运动，然后呢我就看到这张照片，大家都台湾肯定都知道这是野百合运动的图片，后来又看到野草莓运动，然后又看到有太阳花运动，然后我就想说，为什么台湾的社会运动都是用植物来命名的？然后有朋友讲，可能跟台湾的乡土文学的阶段有关系。但是我就在想，为什么台湾的社会运动没有用蕨类来命名的？所以后来就在台北立方做展的时候呢，就种了一些蕨类，就为台湾未来的12种社会运动命名。那其实说到为什么会没有蕨类的来命名社会运动呢？可能有一个原因是，一个是日治，就前面我讲的，大的粗略的讲是日治时期看到的都是热带花卉，然后49年国民党来台湾之后，带来的更多的是大陆的植物的想象，比如台湾的钱上面现在还是梅花，但梅花并非是台湾本土的植物，所以其实到台湾，如果从植物的角度、植物的政治的角度，到现在其实并没有去殖民，所以当时整个项目就在想，因为大家经常会讨论去殖民的问题，但是怎么从生态的角度来思考去殖民，以及植物可以怎么来如何帮助我们去殖民这个问题。后来这个作品，我简单，这个作品其实，艺术家做的肯定是希望大家直接看作品，所以我只是提到里面一点， 植物的一些细节，作品就大家可以自己去看。然后这个拍了3段，然后第2段呢里边这个主角，当然一个是这个演员林京燕，她是从台南16岁就辍学就来台北，在珙林街小剧场，然后一直做戏剧，也跟王柏林什么的合作过，就做一些很比较激进的。然后后来找到他，我也很高兴，因为他的父母是种花的，所以他对植物很熟悉。因为当时我还在找演员的时候，还找了台湾有一个在日本拍GV 的，就是同志A 片的，叫阿空，他在日本拍 A 片。后来我联系到他，他是守天使的成员。但阿空一来呢，就是问我这个植物有没有消毒，然后他说这个他很怕虫，所以我就想这个不行。所以后来找到林京燕呢，就很高兴，因为正好父母是种花的。然后这个如果大家看第2段呢，其实他是跟植物做爱，然后之后就变得很激动，就开始吃山酥。那今天中午我也在吃山酥，然后看到大家平时也在吃山酥。其实问题就是为什么跟植物做爱是不正常的，然后为什么跟山酥做爱是不正常的，可是吃山酥是正常的。然后这是我们影片里边另外那个主角山酥，然后这个地点在猫空的森林里面。我今天再去拍的时候，他还在，还活得还挺好。然后今年拍了为台北双年展这次拍的第3段呢，是找了3位台北的从事 BDSM 的喜欢 BDSM 的同志来一起合作。那 SOA 呢在这儿出现，他是复生的成员，他们平时会做绳缚的表演，但他以前没有试过用植物，就是跟一个活着的对象来做表演，因为绳子本身也是植物，只不过是已经是没有生命之后的状态。然后这个绑在他的这个阴茎上面的叫浮尸蕨，也是蕨类的一种，它平时就是长在树上，就是绕着树在长。然后Vin 呢是做戏剧的，他喜欢疼痛。后来我们就找到这个台湾沙罗，如果大家在平时肯定都看过，大的台湾的树蕨就是有几种，一个是笔筒树，一个是台湾沙罗。台湾沙罗的茎上面有很多的刺，下次大家在路边的时候可以看到，可以去摸一下。就如果你喜欢疼痛的话，你可能会喜欢这个植物。好，那我就简单分享到这儿，谢谢。
好的，非常谢谢啊。希望这个什么反同的团体呢不会进来抗议这件作品哈。接下来我们就请那个朱伟给我们做他的作品介绍。
Thank you. And thank you for the invitation and for being here, and been working here at the museum for quite some weeks. I've done a film about a bird that was in the atrium. I immediately got interested in this in-between space that are kind of in the center of this building, which is this courtyard or atrium, as you see in this picture. And during my first week, I saw a bird. So there's one film about a light-winded bulbul, and you can see it upstairs. And it had its nest, and it was nursing its chicks there. And I hope it still exists somewhere because the nest is gone. But I'm here to talk more about this work that is called Prototaxites. And first to say something about my practice, I'm from Denmark, and I grew up on the countryside with my parents started a farm that were, let's say, experimental or tried to be self-sustainable after Seymour, a British writer and agriculturist who kind of said, like, we can use technology that has stopped around the century, like a small tractor, light industrial kind of technology. So in that setting, I grew up and had I experienced kind of crisis in terms of like
you can say the ecological crisis on a very local scale. In Denmark, we have 35 million pigs that never see daylight. They are in enclosement. They are locked in, so to say. And we are around 5.5 million people, so there's 6 pigs per person. And you never see these. We have a huge agriculture because we don't have any mountains like here, so everything is being turned into fields. It used to be forests. So there's a picture, perfect kind of image of Denmark being this happy, maybe more green, sustained place, but this is not my experience. My experience is that nature is in a total change, and these what we also, where Paul was talking about, like it's a fight of values basically, and there's these critical zones, and also criticality as such is what I try to do in my art, or I'm like skeptical to the notion of art itself from that point. So I saw that like conceptual art and this kind of criticism and the criticality within the environmental movement had some parallels. So environmentalism and art has this critique kind of could be combined, and that's what I've been trying to do. So getting this invitation, working with post-nature and a museum as an ecosystem, I thought it would be interesting to try to work with local farmers. And I am basically, since childhood, I've been interested in mushrooms, or let's say any other life that are occurring next to you, like a mosquito or a fly on your hand is kind of annoying, but it also represents this what we call nature in a sense. So, and for me, I think questioning these and just kind of what kind of response can you get from these more annoying nature is what I draw my energy from, you could say, in the artwork. So mushrooms are and fungi as such is extremely interesting because it's not plant, it's not animal, but it is very close to us. It's like inverted way of meeting the world. We internalize it by eating plants and animals, and without this we couldn't exist. So this is where we meet it, I would say, and we taste it. And the mushrooms are kind of opposite. They are like inverted stomachs. They meet the world constantly by enzymes, and they spread out this net. So they are kind of close to us. And what they are very good at, and what we are not, is that they are resilient, and they are creating like the reef. They create the ecosystem for many other species. So what they do is that they communicate, or they feed, or they make this exchange, which you could see as a metaphor for economy in a sense. They make network together with trees, and we know this kind of network. We can see it here in a urban like night light from the sky, like a network that spreads over the globe, and we know it from the internet also. So this is a kind of a machine that can never stop because it's constantly on. You can turn on some parts, but you can never really turn off the internet. This is something that I think is a good way of thinking future systems that could mean a lot for our way of survival. I don't care so much about humans in the long term. I think we have come and gone many like civilizations. So the question is more like in some kind of dignity or elegance of the way we relate to the world around us. And obviously this crisis we are talking about is this ethical quest to survive or to deal with other life and ourselves in that sense. So this is what you see here is like mushrooms that are in like the mycelium that are in exchange with these plants, And what the tree is giving is through the photosynthesis, they give the sugar, so to say, to direct like nutrition for the mushroom. And the mushroom has a much finer network of roots. You can say roots, or the mycelium itself is a kind of root system or a rhizome, and it connects with the plant and gives the plant in exchange the minerals that the mushroom much easier can take from the ground, mineral and salts and so on, nutritions. These are again the image of the mycorrhiza. So this is like, you can say, some kind of translation or a give or take. It's a symbiotic relationship, but it's not necessarily one that is in a total, blessed equilibrium that some environmentalists talk about, and we have to also like to protect the environment. I would like to change that word setting and be more like maybe like nature doesn't necessarily need to be protected. I think that we do a mistake. We should think it more in what way do we want to engage with it, and maybe just think about our own survival. So being here, I was like in Taiwan. I was interested in seeing if I could find someone to collaborate with on building this sculpture that are in the atrium. And this mushroom farmer was amazing meeting to have with him from the Mita Eco Fungi farm. And what they do is that they take, I see it as a kind of like a sustainable movement in farming that are, you could also call it smart farming, or at least it's a change. It's saying that we can take something like a coffee ground that is not being used and recycle it and make oyster mushrooms or any other mushroom that he's producing, and so actually take nutrients and recycle them and make something edible. So this has been like, I think one of the dialogue points that I would have loved to have maybe a more continuously part of being part of this biennial, that there would be more dialogue that actually have been happening, but it's always a bit difficult. I think biennial structures can so much, and then they also are a bit heavy and not very dynamic in their setting, and there's a lot to be done, but this is maybe another discussion. This is an image of a fossil that was found, and these fossils had been discovered all over the planet. And since 150 years, it's been discussed. What is it? Is it a symbiotic thing between plant and bacteria? Is it a plant? Is it a tree? Is it a what kind of organism is it? And within the last 10 years, it's been pretty much sure that this is the first kind of mushroom that we have as a fossil, because the mushrooms are not very good, obviously, to be kept as fossils. So, but this kind of grand style from the Devonian period exists, and interesting enough, it has been classified as mushrooms. I think that what is so interesting is that you hardly never see the mushrooms. They are in the ground, and they are sustaining ecosystems on a grand scale. They can also, if they want, kill a forest, but mostly they are really kind of a supportive ground system, you can say, for other life at large. And at that time, when these fungi towers here, they could be up to 8 meters tall. They were there. There was no land-living animals. This is an artistic kind of depiction of these mushrooms, and you can see there's a fish that starts to go onto land. And I have been fascinated by thinking future backwards, you could say, and look at what has actually been here way before our time. For me, this is kind of a futuristic image. So translating this into a sculpture, I started to think of how can you make a kind of a vertical garden for mushroom growth, and we did these renderings here. So the towers are actually a support system within as a kind of a shelf system, and of each shelf you have the mycelium that was given to me or pre-made by the Meta Ego Fungi Farm. There's a water system that is not necessarily to use here in the sense that this is in Denmark, and the trees here is beech, and they are also just like they are not really native to Denmark, but is the national symbol of Denmark in a way, or that kind of nature, but which is also like a fiction. So these two things were going hand in hand, and I don't know, yeah, there we go. So over time the mushrooms will slowly, this is oyster mushrooms. Do I have a picture here? Yeah, the oyster mushrooms are interesting because they were, in Europe they were not used for eating before a very severe crisis, the Second World War. There was a lack of food and proteins, and in I believe in Eastern today Eastern called like the Eastern Europe at that time was the first farmers started to grow these mushrooms to actually to consumption, and so the history is not that long in Europe to use them as food, but here I know that they are. It's interesting that there's mycophilia. There's a tendency to have fears of mushrooms, especially in Christian countries. In Denmark, people pick mushrooms, but are also very fearful of picking the wrongs. And also, you could see that they grow from the ground, so they were related to hell and mysticism and bad powers. And within Europe, there's a border, and you can very easily see where people have a tradition of picking mushrooms and where people don't have it, and that's another interesting aspect. So here, I think since there's Taiwanese culture, or there's an interest, or let's say mushrooms are being eaten more regularly and many more species than in Europe. So for this exhibition here, I have like introduced this sculpture for the atrium, and mushrooms will grow over the next couple of months, and then it's up to the biennial and the museum to find out how these will be consumed, or how maybe visitors will pick them, or we will make a collaboration with the restaurant here. So that is the challenge. Thank you for your attention.
那个谢谢朱 A 哈。那也许哈这个展览之后呢，Taipei Fine Arts Museum 可以考虑哈改成 Taipei Fine Arts Museum 哈。After this exhibition, the museum should consider would change its name from Taipei Fine Arts Museum to Taipei Fine Arts Museum. Okay, now we should have all our speakers up here to have a Q&A. 之前我留意到哈，我们手册上面中文的手册上面呢，我们这位丹麦艺术家呢，名字分成图尔哈，而实际上我刚刚问了他一下，他是应该念成粗野啊，就是很粗野的意思啊，就是正好很符合他的作品的个性，叫做粗野。OK， 那么I think we should just start to question floor. 那我们就开始看看在场有没有听众朋友哈的问题。As quiet as the plant.
I actually have a question for you. So when you say it's a training for the termites, how potentially could they be trained, the termites?
Well, actually, it's, I mean, already they do bring up minerals when they're building their mounds. So it's something that they're already doing, and I think this scientist was thinking about how to kind of accelerate that process. And I also I wanted to sort of amplify that, just basically as a critique of capitalist drives, but it's something that they're already doing. Like in that image I showed, like they actually, without realising it, they're digesting certain minerals before they regurgitate them to build their mounds. But so I think it's yeah, I guess it was kind of just like looking at for a new way to prospect for gold in a country that had sort of basically stripped minor country out of gold. Yeah. And yeah, yeah. Actually, I have a question, or was interested in Tu's observation about biennials and the structure of biennials and the way that perhaps they become, that there could be a more possibility for dialogue and interaction and conversation, and maybe not to put you on the spot, but to think, to ask you how you think that could be improved.
Well, I think that it's interesting that we're a lot of artists being invited to come here and show our art, but that does not necessarily implement that there's a dialogue, or as I have felt it strongly by this one, that there has been a more, in my point of view, more one-way communication with the museum in terms of producing an artwork. And when the title, the subtitle is Museum as an Ecosystem, well then you could maybe expect that there would be more of a dynamic dialogue going on, like as a means of production, or as really as the point of view for the biennial, and not maybe so much this focus on getting things done in time and you know, all the practicalities. This is something that I felt have been lacking. I mean, there's this symposium, which is great and really interesting, but as part of making this grand effort and all the, you know, the resources used for it, I think it would have been interesting to have had some of these discussions on a way earlier point. You know, it's opening up for a dialogue. I don't say that we should not show the works that we are individually doing, but I think it's the interdisciplinary kind of like, where do the works meet in the different like discourses or different critique, or the, you know, and a dialogue that could happen. But that's what I mean. Yeah. Like,
yeah, I agree. It's maybe it could have been, it could happen in reverse, that you have the symposium before the exhibition.
Yeah, also just on a level of between the artists and the curators, you know. So, yeah.
I mean, if I could add something, you know, I always feel, if we think about it, we are actually underground. You know, it's actually a bunch of humans sitting in an underground cave talking about ecology with no sunlight, no river next to us, you know, maybe some bacteria. We don't even have termites, you know, no plants, no mushrooms. Maybe, but I'm sure there's fungi somewhere, right? Maybe just for you. Like, so I know it's incredible. I mean, Mali is here. I know it's incredibly hard for us humans to move beyond this phase. You know, I walk around, I see the mushrooms popping up in the mycelial network. But I guess all of us really hope at some point, pretty soon, museums really take a radical stance I mean, I wrote something earlier this year saying, we really need to push museums to move from human places where we show human creation to places we celebrate the creation of all beings. I know it's a huge challenge, but I hope someday soon it will happen.
也许我的猜测是说，就人哈，尤其是现代人呢，事实上很难跟植物沟通，就是说。尽管我们会做一点小盆栽，种一点小花，但是呢，就是说跟人以外的其他的物种沟通的能力跟兴趣，事实上是越来越低啊。我们宁可跟这个手机沟通，而不太愿意跟动植物沟通哈。特别是说，当我们今天呢看到的是。不是，就是说看到的大部分都是所谓的低级物种，Fern 和 Mycelium fungi 都是所谓的低级物种低级物种呢，对人类来讲，事实上是一个潜在的威胁虽然是说我们整个所存在的这个生态来讲的话呢，事实上是构成我们生态当中最重要的成分那我在猜想了当然就是说我们沟通呢，事实上可以发生在很多的场面上面包括策展人跟艺术家的沟通，包括艺术家跟观众之间的沟通但是我觉得是说，特别是在对于一个这样子的一个展览来说的话展览里头出现了一大堆的菌丝美术馆的名字呢都改成叫做菌丝馆了那么在这种情况之下呢，我们要关注的可能是藻礁，可能是珊瑚礁，可能是菌丝这蕨类之类的很多的低级物种呢。那也许正好这样子的一个沟通的困难呢。就显示出了一个我们现代人或者是我们现在所面临的一个问题the difficulties of communication because humans are not interested in communicating with low-class species. Yeah, that's my guess, my answer to this.
因为关于沟通的问题，因为我们拍这个片就是人跟蕨类的交合，不是沟通。其实讲一个很小的一个细节，就是我们在拍今年1月份在拍第2段的时候，因为其实那个影片里边是有5颗鸟巢蕨，然后我们在那儿待的时间久了之后呢，摄影就会说，哎，今天这个鸟巢蕨比较雄性化，然后比昨天那个要更猛一点。就是我觉得待长了之后呢，就会有一些，我们就会发展出来一些感受。然后这个感受当然有人当然有很多理论的讨论，就是关于是拟人的问题，还是要超越人的这个逻辑，比如说是用雄性、雌性这些，还是因为本身蕨类的这个状态是不是2元的一个性别？但就是不论怎样，我们会开始有一些感受。之所以拍跟植物做爱呢，其实一开始的时候就想说做一个比较荒诞的，但这个荒诞的借口，让我们愿意花时间在现场去真正跟植物待在一起，然后看到或者说感受到它一些平时感受不到的东西。我经常说，比如说我养狗，我以前闻不到狗尿，但是呢，养了狗之后，狗就会训练我。走在街上就能闻到狗尿了，以前是闻不到的。我相信在我们现在去这个森林里边去久了之后，慢慢对蕨类的感觉不一定是需要通过语言来交流。我觉得其实是时间的问题。
Okay, when we talk about museum as an ecosystem, I think there's an underlying concept of sustainability, even if it's not directly the theme of your work. And when I think of that personally, I see a little bit of contradiction between form and function. So I would like to ask you if this is an issue for you, or if you thought of how the material was chosen and how the work is going to be disposed of, or if it's not an issue.
Is that a question to all of us?
Any of you.
Well, I think for me, mostly if I do, like, actually I was commissioned here to do a new work. And there was a first site visit. And for me, I always think it's the best kind of position to work as an artist. I start to develop a form very late, actually. I mean, for me, it's always about maybe the idea or finding the spot where things can develop. But it needs this dialogue, it needs this exchange. And here I sense less that it was very difficult to get to that point. So also seeing the atrium, I thought it would be interesting to do a farm or to do something within this space. And I was in dialogue then with this mushroom farm, and also the stadium next door here through Francesco. I got focused on that they have an aquaponic system where they grow plants and fish, and I thought this would be an interesting link again through mushroom production, fish, plants, and urban farming. But the dialogue kind of stopped there, and the time goes fast. For this kind of way of working, you maybe would start the biennial 2 years ago, and just to say hello to each other, meet virtually or meet in persons or when we can, and actually start some dialogues, and maybe produce something like this a year ago, something like that. And then things would develop, and maybe new kind of artworks would emerge that would be form and function would be closer to the mycelium, the museum as a mycelium place, mycelium space.
我想哈，就是其实就是所谓的对话的空间，或者是沟通的空间。那其实背后还有沟通的时间哈。那么就是说，因为双年展的结构跟它的这个财务的结构的方式呢，很多时候呢，就是说，策展人跟这个美术馆跟艺术家之间的这个沟通的时间，事实上是被缩短的。那在这种情况之下，我想会有很多的这种困难哈，会有很多的困难。那我想，细节的话，也许是不是请那个什么策展人，玛丽老师稍微回应一下这个问题。
谢谢。其实那个徐文瑞也测过2008啦，所以会非常了解在美术馆工作的非常多的困难。那当然第一个就是时间。因为我们策展人被邀请策展，其实是刚好1年的时间，就是1年前我们正式受到邀请，然后那个时候我们才能够开始进行研究。那还好，就是说，因为这个题目最开始是我先提出来，然后我们找到一个可以一起合作的国际策展人 Francesco， 因为他自己也有策过类似的展览，所以我们可以比较快的进入状况。就是说，因为一旦被美术馆委托了之后，其实就是几个月之后名单就要出来，然后开始走行政的程序。所以我想在座的艺术家们可能接受到邀请，很可能都才3个月以前或者4个月以前，因为它有一定的程序要走。我不能事先跟艺术家说，我要邀请你，因为结果万一程序没有过，我们事实上是不能邀请。所以变成它有这种官方的程序要做。那这个是第一个，当然就是说在时间上，不止艺术家很被压缩，我们策展也很被压缩，因为你按照那个整个节奏，就是 几个月就要提出什么，几个月要提出什么，其实我们也都是在一个非常紧张的一个状态。那等到艺术家提出想法的时候，因为这里头就有经费的问题啊。那当然，我们最开始非常希望每一个艺术家都可以从被邀请开始就住在台湾，然后开始发展作品构想。可是我想99%的艺术家都不可能，因为每一个人其实还有其他的事情，所以很多艺术家就是可能就来个3-5天，然后看一看，然后提一个构想，然后之后再什么时候再过来。所以这里头其实不只是美术馆在行政层面上面，还有艺术家本身时间上，其实都有很大的困难啊。但是我想在台湾，我们一直在对双年展一直有一个比较大的批评，就是说，我想不只是我们这一届是1年前才受委托，我想徐文瑞那一届搞不好也是，所有其他双年展几乎都是。那就北美馆来说，它的人员也是很有限。那其实，尤其我们邀请外国艺术家，其实那成本是非常高的，因为语言问题。如果假设一个外国艺术家来，那我们这边其实几乎都至少1位工作人员就要全程陪同翻译，然后协助工作。其实如果整体去计算是成本很高啊。那刚刚提到就是生态系统，除了这个相互之间沟通以外，其实我觉得这一次的双年展，我们很大胆的把美术馆作为一个生态系统提出来，它其实当然也就是不断的在挑战美术馆这个系统嘛，哈。例如说，我们昨天讨论的那个作品《非人类博物馆》，它其实就提到一个要为博物馆解殖民化嘛，因为博物馆这个概念本身就是一个非常殖民的，本来就是把人跟自然是切割的，所以最好就是把美术馆的这个墙都拆掉，让它变成一个真的可以让动物、植物都进来的，因为不然的话，就是照这种我们一般熟悉的这种博物馆系统运作，它就有典藏的问题，它有作品价值的这些问题，那你如何碰触那种有机的生命体的那一些东西，对，那是蛮复杂的。
我想就是说，我们想到后面有问题还有2个问题，我还没有讲之前，我先主持人的特权讲几句话，就是说。跟植物沟通事实上已经不是我们一般人的习性，但是跟植物的沟通，你能够得到的回应的时间、速度跟规模，事实上是很小的，也就是说，你今天跟一颗蕨类谈恋爱的话，你会得到讯息的时间可能是已读不回很久的时间，那跟菌丝沟通呢，事实上速度会比较快一点。速度会比较快一点那么越高端的植物来讲的话呢，事实上那个沟通的这个时间，跟这个敏感度呢，事实上就处在完全不同的一个状态当中但是这个就回应到刚刚的问题上面，就是说，今天如果美术馆作为一个这样子的所谓的生态系统来讲的话，我们事实上需要考虑的，事实上就是说，所谓的沟通到底发生在哪里？然后所谓的，如果说这里头有跟人、跟其他物种之间的民主的议题的话，民主以作为沟通为基础的这样子的一个民主呢，那么我们跟其他的物种之间的沟通到底发生在哪一个层次？我觉得这个是这个展览可以大大的去提问的一个部分我先做这个介入。
那我能不能纠正你一点不好意思。就是你所谓的这个慢呢，是因为语言的问题，但其实大部分物种呢不是靠语言沟通的，大部分物种呢是靠化学成分沟通的。所以那个其实termites， 比如说即使是植物，其实速度是非常快的。其实反倒是我们依赖语言的速度会很慢。如果在分子层面的沟通是非常快的。
Yeah, and sometimes I think here I totally agree to this the problem of time. That's absolutely true. The other problem is tendency to something that I'm a happy amateur as an artist. I try really to be consider professionalism a problem, because one of the few things where you don't really have to be professional in a sense is as an artist. You don't have to follow the management, the efficiency. You can be do great artworks by not knowing what you're actually doing. You know, like starting all over again. And it's something that can be very tedious, especially for institutions who want a quick answer. You know, maybe you change your project within a few weeks. It takes a new branch is coming out and you want to be there. But you get a response that was not what you told us last week, and now we have a contract. And you know, and this kind of like way of working is rigid. And I don't think computers and smart management can change this. It can only make things work worse in a sense. So I think the problematic it goes towards absurdity. Actually, working with a very sometimes you kind of like need to totally change the structure from within to have the dialogue. We all know this even when you're with a partner for many years. Suddenly the dialogue is not working, and you have to kind of find new ways to talk together. So it is tremendously difficult, and it's also challenging to make this kind of new museum. Yeah. So that was maybe a comment.
I would like to respond to what Man Ray said, that seems like all of you are very sensitive people, all three of you, because it seems like you're the DG, the lower class, but in fact, this stratum of termite, ferns, and mushrooms or whatever, they are very, in fact, very powerful. Maybe a museum as an ecosystem where artists are the one that is helping us people. I want to know, is there a special sensitivity in the three of you that you can be sensitive enough to be able to be close to them? And is there any kind of special communication and feedback? Like people now are in Taiwan, we're very popular to have, you get your vibes by hugging a tree hugging as a vibration and internally. Because I feel that communication between people already is a problem. Communication between animal and people to animal is already not easy. But communication to plants and microbes, there's special vibrations that you all have that you can teach us. And then as artists, maybe there's something special in you. Thanks.
Just quickly, I think it's probably because, as Man Ray observed, that we are moving towards this horrible situation where we're unable to communicate due to the technology and the speed that demands on us. That, I don't know if I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like there's more, it's a time more than ever where you really want to start to pay attention, to find other things to make you slow down and to observe other ways of worlding. And I think that that's something that we all share. And as you've observed, that we're looking for something else, perhaps in a utopian sense, to find another way to go against the grain of like what we're kind of accelerating towards as a species at the moment. So I think a lot of artists working in this way or being in the world are trying to be antennas or be in tune with other possible ways, because obviously the way that's happening now isn't sustainable. Yeah.
I mean, if anything, I think we need to be we need to be crazy rather than rather than following instrumental reason to really get to encounter other species, because I think it won't, any possibility will not really adhere to whatever logic that we operate within today. Yeah, I very much agree. It's about it's about slowing down without, without really trying to achieve anything. I think that's actually the best way for me. Yeah.
好像时间，已经时间到了哈。那我们要开放给更多的时间，我们真的是很需要时间哈。那沟通的时间需要很多啊。We need more time. Yes, so hopefully the biennial become a 20-year biennial. No, it's a 20-year biennial. It's almost like a centennial. OK, 好，谢谢。那谢谢3位艺术家在这边，还有谢谢各位观众好，听众好。那我们是不是就接下去下一场 ？OK, thank you.